It's December 30th, 2011. The halls have been decked and the turtle is about to drop. Let's welcome the new year as if this is Make and Break.
Bob Wood, National Program Director of the Chum Group, worked with us in producing...
Hold up, before we get started...
Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming?
Dan Calvin.
Back again! Who is he? Just your favorite DJ Savior. Using and confusing beats that you never heard. 1990. Put a smile on your face like ultra bright.
You're just fessing, man. I don't even want to hear about it.
You're listening to Make and Break Radio on RadioMackinac.org. Welcome to Make and Break Radio. I'm your host, Daniel Calvin. This episode is noteworthy, not because it's episode 50, not because it's the last show of 2011, but rather this episode is noteworthy because it's the Make and Break Clip Show, and I'm wearing nothing but Wayfarers and a pair of mittens. While I record this, I'm drinking a bottle of Yuengling and thinking about being back in Akron last week. Now, earlier I said clip show. Now I know what you're thinking. I've done several best of shows already this year, and what content could possibly be worthy of being replayed a second or even a third time? Well, I'll tell you what. I'd have to say a lot of it. After all, this show features the finest comedic writing of all of Eastern Upper Peninsula comedy internet radio shows. Tonight, though, is all original content. As original as Mr. Ah and Mountain Thunder. As original as Fruit Rings cereal or Entertainer crackers. As original as Whoomp There It Is or Root There It Is, whichever came second. This episode is the big year's end Make and Break Clip Show. I think you'll be surprised, so grab a can of Genesee and garnish it with some mistletoe and we'll get on with the show.
This episode of Make and Break Radio is underwritten by the Eastern Upper Peninsula Equestrian Collective, sticking together like glue since 1973.
Clippers, shears, whatever you call them, they cut our hair. They cut our sheep's hair. Whether it's your head, your face, or your bits and bobs, we all have stories. Like the time the guard fell off and your hair was gouged. Or maybe the time you wanted your name Doug, carved into the hair on the back of your head, but it came out looking like Doe-ach. Maybe sideburn lightning bolts that more closely resembled a salmon ladder. Interesting, but not hairdo worthy. I recall some of the more interesting hair stories of my past. I sported a mullet until Catholic school in the 4th grade. That was cut down into a 9-inch long rat tail. Or how that evolved into the penis head skater look that evolved into an attempt at adolescent rebellion that manifested itself as a shock of hair at the top of my head long enough to wrap around my chin and more, while its follicle brethren were essentially shaved off all the way around, like reverse full-on male pattern baldness. At some point I decided that if people were going to continue to treat me like a piece of trash, I would no longer give them a reason to with my 13-year-old hair, and I went flat top. Chuck Feaster cut that mop off. Once that hair no longer covered half of my face and left ear, I could finally hear Rush Limbaugh for the first time. No thanks to Chuck Feaster. For the last 20 or so years, I have sported what I can best describe as a modified fade. Rather nondescript, although I tried for a year to get my barber, Mike, to make my hair look more like Wolverine. You know, sticking out on the sides and cool up on top. There was a problem with that. Most days, you'll literally just look like a clown. Recently, I haven't bothered to get much hair cut off this time of season. Just enough to give my mother the impression that I don't live in a hobo camp during the winter. This hair is tucked into my stocking cap every morning. And so unlike my side-flapping adolescent hairs, it falls back into a beautiful greasy river of keratin. All is fine and dandy whilst the hat can be worn. Once the season starts up, the hat comes off and the hair gets washed more often. The natural pomade is washed away and the dew makes repeated attempts at blinding me, or at least making it appear as though my head was just released from the black sack that the NSA threw over my head for the trip back from Guantanamo Bay. So every spring the hair comes off. The hair is out of my eyes and the back of my scalp is left confused, pointing and erecting itself in an unpredictable and irritating fashion. I'd comb or brush and get things groomed up, and I'd be on my way. Then I learned that for years the back of my head looked stupid. Other stylists have claimed that they can fix it. I wonder how many hot dames have walked away from me in all those years after seeing the back of my head. It's like living an entire decade of summers with the toilet paper stuck to your heel. Then there's the camp that tells me to not cut it off. Oh, Dan, your hair is just so magnificent. Never cut it. So what do I do then? Walk around like those dudes from Nelson or what? My hair is thick and straight as a yardstick. When it gets too long, it starts getting into a world of sociology, and I don't care for my scalp to be a case study in gender perception PhD studies. And tonight on Make and Break Radio, I give you a reprisal of 34 things I learned as a child, and one I didn't. You can't stop the copper top. Kid tested and mother approved. Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Where is the beef? It's not delivery. Look, Madge, no dishpan hands. By Menon. Scrubbing bubbles. Garfield 12323. Raid 29 2 for 50. Strong enough for a man, but pH balanced for a woman. Is it live or is it Memorex? Put a tiger in your tank. My baloney has a first name. Fly the friendly skies. The best part of waking up. We'll leave a light on for you. Head for the mountains. I'm not just the president. I'm also a client. Built Ram tough. Pizza, pizza. Meow, 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 meow. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Cookie crisp. Gillette. The best a man can get. Kibbles and bits and bits and bits. The champagne of beers. It's Lobster Fest. Maybe she was born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. It's in there. Barks has bite. Mikey likes it. 2 scoops of raisins. And the one thing I never did learn as a child was how many licks did it take to find the smooth, canty center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop. This hour of Make and Break Radio is brought to you by Holmes Brick Hardware of Wadsworth, Ohio. The local source for your needs such as hose, black nipples, ball cocks, nuts, excellent screws, and all types of female to male adapters. Thank you for listening to Make and Break Radio, episode 50. It's December 30th, 2011. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, and I'm sure the island is going to get wild. So be careful, have fun. Thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to another great year of being distracted, doing this thing that I'm really having a lot of fun doing. Good night, everybody.